I'm Elder Glenn, and I'm happy to be here tonight. And I hope that you all learned something. I know I've learned something preparing, and hope you learned something as well tonight. Okay, at this point, I'm going to share my screen with the presentation. So here we go. This lesson is about my family tree is full of nuts and other good things. All of our family histories have many good things in it, and it's a privilege for us to learn about them. This particular lesson will be a general overview of FamilySearch, including some of the things that are new and where do I start. I'd first like to talk briefly about why family history is important. This scripture from the Bible, I think, is very significant. It's a scripture from Malachi chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. And so we believe family history is very important for us to learn about our ancestors and for them to turn our hearts to them and for them to turn their hearts to us. It's also interesting to note that it's the second most popular hobby in the United States. And there are additional benefits of family history. It gives us a sense of purpose, a deeper personal identity, mental stimulation, family connections, medical knowledge, social benefits. And it helps us realize just how important family history really is. Elder Boyd K. Packer, who is a leader in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, said, "Every hour spent on genealogical research, however unproductive it appears, is worthwhile. It is pleasing to the Lord. It is our testimony to him that we accept the doctrine of the resurrection and the plan of salvation." And why use FamilySearch? FamilySearch is operated by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's a nonprofit organization and website offering genealogical records, education, and software. It's the largest genealogical organization in the world, with over 1.3 billion names in the family tree and 5.7 billion digital images, including books, digitized microfilms, etc. And it's being added to every day. And also it's completely free. There are other family history sites, as listed here, which can be accessed from the FamilySearch itself. If you're a member of the church, it's free. If you're not a member of the church, you can also access this if you have those accounts. And anyone can also access these for free at the Family History Library, Family History Center. And there are many other family history sites. And in some cases, some of these may have certain advantages over FamilySearch. Okay, let's get started now. You simply begin by typing FamilySearch.org as the web address into your browser. And then, as Sister Knapp mentioned, if you have any questions during the presentation, you can open the chat box, type your question there, and they will try to answer those during this presentation as possible. Okay, you can begin by setting up an account. If you don't have an account, you can click here and you can set up an account. If you already have an account in FamilySearch or an account in the website of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you can simply click here and to sign in. As you set up the account, you fill in your name, sex, and gender. And if you're a member of the church and want to set up an account as a member, you can click this box right here. And but when you do so, you need to make sure that you have your membership number with you, and don't check it. You can always set up an account and then later on change it to a member's account. And as you set up the account, the first thing is to choose a unique username and password. And it's very important to remember them to avoid difficulties later on. And if you are helping someone else set up an account, remind them to remember them also, perhaps writing it in a special place, and then filling in the rest of the items that are listed here, and then create an account. Now, if you're setting up your account as a member of the church, you will also be asked for and must supply your church membership number. Okay, as you come into FamilySearch, initially you're faced with this screen here, which is personalized and changes a little bit from time to time. And we'll be talking about each one of these areas in a little bit more detail. The Discovery Center is right here, and it changes from time to time. And if you would like to see everything that could go here, go to FamilySearch.org/discovery. In this case, we can learn about what our name means, last name. In my case, I type in Glenn, and then it gives me the countries where the name of Glenn is most likely found. For example, in my case, it's in the United States, England, and Ireland. Okay, the next item that we'll talk about briefly is recommended tasks. And on this page, we can look at all recommended tasks, which show people who have hints and who need temple work done. We can click on records, which just shows those people who have hints, or we can check on temple, which shows people that need temple work done. And one thing I'd like to mention at this point is, if you are not a member of the church, don't worry about the temple, because that won't come up in your account. But this is something that we as members feel very strongly about, and it's important for us. Okay, the next item down is, you can click on, is recent people. It has the last 50 people that you've viewed. And then down below that is a to-do list. And then in this case, below that is an option for comparing a face. You can take a picture of your face or someone else's face and compare it with photos of your ancestors to see how your face compares with theirs, which can be quite interesting. Okay, and then in this section right here, which changes significantly from time to time, it gives us information that our cousins are adding to FamilySearch, or other people that are in our same family are adding to FamilySearch. For example, in my case, when I clicked on this, I found a family crest, a newspaper article, and etc. And this tells us to whom the information pertains, our relationship, and by whom the information was added. The top toolbar gives us these 9 options, which we will review in more detail as well. Family tree, search, memories, indexing, activities, temple, questions, messaging, and notifications. Okay, family tree is a very important part of this. And the first thing up here is overview under family tree, which gives a very helpful summary of FamilySearch family tree. The next one down is tree, which it gives us a pedigree chart of ourselves or someone else in our family. And the goal for family tree is to have every person who ever lived identified with one profile and linked to their family. Wouldn't that be nice? With this information, also all necessary temple ordinances can be performed and recorded. Family tree is one world tree that we all share. We need to share politely and play nice with others, as we do in all of our other endeavors in life. Members and non-members share the same tree. And in family tree, there are various views. The first one, and probably one of the most useful, is landscape view. It allows us to change spouses and view families of our direct line. Options can be turned on and off. And in this view, we can often see any fixes needed in our direct line. Portrait view is another fun view. We choose from the drop-down menu, and the options are the same as for landscape view. In this view, we can see who still needs photos attached for an entire family. However, it isn't quite as practical as the landscape view for research purposes. And then there are fan charts. And there are various different options: family lines, birth country, sources, stories, photos, research helps, and ordinances. And there we can choose up to 7 generations. When we first get into FamilySearch, we will be in the first spot right here if we have that information in FamilySearch, and then it goes out from there with our ancestors. This is another chart showing the birth country. For example, I'm in blue, and it says that I was born in the United States. And the same is true of all of the people in this fan chart, where they have a birth country listed. And then this fan chart shows us sources that each one of our ancestors have and how many sources there are for that person. Same thing with stories. We have stories for all of these people in these colored, that are colored in. Same thing with photos. Research helps. These colored ones indicate that there are some research helps that could be helpful to us to learn more about our families. And then for temple ordinances, this helps us keep track of those who need temple work. For example, those that have been requested, those that are in progress, and those that cannot be requested at this time. And this one right here, which is myself, cannot be requested because I'm a living person. Another person can't request that. After we've filled in a fan chart, another very useful feature is a descendancy chart of one of our ancestors. And in this chart, we can learn more about descendancy records, and we'll talk about that more in future lessons. Now, the person profile view is the workhorse of Family Tree. You can use this view to fix data problems, attach sources, add or view spouses, children, and parents and siblings, attach or view memories to that person, collaborate with notes and discussions about research on that person, and we can also request temple ordinances. And the person view has changed significantly within the past few years. In this case, this is my grandfather, Israel Lund Glenn. And we can change to a tree view from this. And when we do so, he would be listed as the primary person down at the bottom. We can follow direct line ancestors, their children and others. And we can view my relationship. And the relationship viewer goes back up to 15 generations. And so this shows me down here, my father and my grandfather, Israel Lund Glenn. On the left side of this, the boxes is where information for the person is stored. On the right side, there are boxes on the screen that work. And here we look for more information to add to a person. For example, research, help, searching records, latest changes, etc. And we'll look at each one of these one at a time. On Life Sketch is a brief, very brief history of this person. And this should be kept very brief. Remembering the autobiography should be put in the memory section. And also remember that anyone can change what is found in Life Sketch. Vitals is another important part. And recently they've made it easier to find the edit button. And also there's a little bubble here that indicates for this location that it's a complete standard, matches the standardization. However, you'll note that down here, there's a location that doesn't have that, which means that it isn't fully standardized. And so in this case, we'll standardize it, and by adding the county to that location, it became standardized. And notice that also that sources are attached to this event that are listed to the sources are listed to the right that pertain to this event. Other information can be added. In using this box, we add such things as alternate names or nicknames, residences, usually from census records and any other life event. And notice that detail view can be clicked to show additional information, such as when this information was changed and the person last changed the displayed information, which can be very helpful at times. In this family members screen, it pertains again to the person, is used for spouses and marriage information. We can edit parents by clicking on this here. We can edit, this is for editing couples. And down here we can click to edit parents. And we can also click on an ID and we can copy that, which can help us in finding that person later on. Okay, we have research help where we can find data problems such as missing standardization, possible duplicates and bad information, record hints, research suggestions. Okay, we can search records, and we can search index records in FamilySearch, Ancestry, Find My Past, My Heritage, and all these others. Right from FamilySearch, if you are a member of the church, you can do it free if you're a member of the church, or if you haven't paid account if you're not. You can also find this, search these indexes in the Family History Center. And that's free. The latest changes can be looked at. And then tools are also important. We can find similar people, merged by ID, report abuse of the FamilySearch Code of Conduct. And if there's a person we can't delete, this can tell us why that is, we can't delete that person and what we can do about it. Printing is something that is very important from time to time. It hasn't changed significantly but we can use it to print hard copies of the family group sheets and use in research logs. Another very great thing that has been added is timeline. And this tells us information, shows us location where this person was during different parts of their life. Sources is another very important part where we can add sources. And detail view is important because we can turn it on or off to see every source at once or close every source. Collaborate is important. And it's a new name for notes and discussions, which used to be what it was called. And memories will be covered in another lesson. But I would like to just talk about something that I found in my own family in the memory section. I had an uncle that was a soldier in World War I. And I knew that he died, but that's about all I knew about him. Last summer, I went into the memory section for him and I found out more, well, I'll talk about that more later on. I thought, lost where I was. We can also go into ordinances and we have a legend that shows when they're complete and so forth and so on. Okay, now we have lists here. This tab is used to quickly find a person. If you believe that there is a duplicate that the search engine is missing, you can use this tab to search family tree. You can look at following to list people you're watching and changes to people you're watching and my contributions. We can discover our ancestors by finding by name. We can also find by their ID. This shows changes to people I'm following, which we can filter. When we put, for example, John in it, just shows those that have John in their name, as part of their name. We can also list people we are following, and then we can go to options and show the changes we've made ourselves. Okay, search is a very valuable part of FamilySearch. We can search records, images, family tree, genealogies, family history library catalog, books, and collections from all over the world, and a research wiki, which is very useful to help us learn about how things that we can do in various parts of the country or various parts of the world, which may be different. The research in England may be significantly different than the research would be in, say, Colorado. And so this can help us find out the differences. As I mentioned, memories will be covered in a later section, but I would like to talk about something I learned about my uncle that went to World War I. Last summer, I looked up in his memories and I found that he died in France in World War I, and he died of the Spanish flu. I thought that was significant in light of the fact that we're going through a pandemic ourselves today. He was buried in France, and then 2 years later, I understand that they dug up his body and shipped it to the United States, and they had a funeral for him in Brigham City, Utah. And in the funeral, it had a little bit about him. It says, from his parents, Perry learned from his infancy in the home teachings a living faith in God as the supreme ruler of the world, coupled with a love of country and the duty to defend it at all hazards, her institutions. From contact with nature, he grew the subject of this sketch, possessed a most intense love for outdoor life as opposed to occupation of a sedentary character. The freedom and grandeur of the mountains appealed to him. In the temple of nature, he saw the wonders of creation and discerned the handiwork of God. The song of the birds, the humming bees, the murmuring stream had a language to him all their own. This was something very significant for me to learn about my uncle. And I'm sure there's many memories and stories that you can learn about your family as well. Another significant thing is indexing, and if we would like, any of us can volunteer to do indexing, to find index information from images where they can be put into a computer and make it much easier for future generations to find information on those families and those individuals. There are also some fun learning activities available. And then for members of the church, the reward at the end of the tunnel is to be able to do temple work, where we can do reservations. We can print them, share them, unreserve them. We can filter them, filter the number of names. We can click on a legend to see what the different icons mean. And we can find Ordnance Ready, which is a program used to help us find people in our tree where there's enough information that temple work can be done. We can do them ourselves or share them with others. And another important option is the help button. It's only a click away. We can search the help center. We can learn more about the help menu. We can click on here to help learn how we can get started. We can look at suggested topics. We can look at the help center where there are step-by-step instructions in many areas. We can contact us, which is local family history consultants or people in Salt Lake City. We can join a community where we can ask questions and join groups researching areas in our families. We can click on helper resources where there's a wealth of general information, training, and quick links. We can do messaging and contact our cousins. It may seem a little scary at first, but most people are nice, so take a chance. And who knows, you might make a friend. And I think this is one of the great blessings of doing FamilySearch, is we can become friends with our cousins. We can find out who they are and become friends with them and work together. We can do messaging. We can send messages, create new messages, and that can be very helpful. Now, these are some of the recent improvements that were made in 2019. They're online interactive discovery experiences, all about me, picture my heritage, record my heritage, family tree and friends, associates and neighbors, relationships, updated find capability. And even more recent, in 2020, there are more languages from 10 to 29, faster access to new records and editable dates and places, better merging, updates to latest changes, easier ways to find and sort memories and improve likes, and easier to use social media. And so where do I start? That depends on a lot of things. For example, if you're a Mormon pioneer in your tree, there's a lot of information already available. If you're a convert, it may be more limited as you start. Also, previous research that you or your others have done in your family can make a big difference. Your experience, personal life, how many other cousins are working on your branch of the tree? Should you collaborate with them or find a different place on your tree to work by yourself? And of course, we also believe that inspiration is important, where we can ask God with faith, and He will help us in this important work. But keep in mind, if you're just starting, it's hard. If you run into a brick wall, if you're in foreign countries in certain times, such as the 1700s, 1800 to 1849, in the 1500s, and if you have a common name such as John Smith, it may be very difficult to know which of the hundreds or thousands of John Smiths in the United States is your ancestor. It will be easier if you have close members of your family. You should first of all start asking your mothers and fathers and grandparents if they're still living. If you live in the United States, if they lived in the United States, it's more simpler. If they lived from 1850 to 1940 and also in the 1600s, and if your names are uncommon, it will actually many times be easier to find them and distinguish if they're your ancestors or not. You can start right in the middle and work outward. Make sure that the information for each family is complete and accurate. The ancestors found in your fan chart in their direct families are your primary responsibility. Use different fan charts to give you different ideas for project. For example, you may want to look at the photos chart to find to see those in your family that still need photos added. And also you could look at stories to see those where stories could be added if available. And after your direct line is complete, as you can make it, you can move to descendancy research, where all the grandchildren of your ancestors identified. And also it may be time to meet your cousins. The church has asked us to do three main things on Family Tree: to clean it up, prove it's true, and to provide temple ordinances for those who are members of the church. Additionally, we've been asked, and we want to help others. As Elder Boyd K. Packer said, every hour spent on genealogical research, however unproductive it appears, is worthwhile. It is pleasing to the Lord. It is our testimony to Him that we accept the doctrine of the resurrection and the plan of salvation. Okay, that's all that I have for this lesson. Next lesson will be next week. It will be taught by Sister Knapp. It will be My Family Tree is Growing Oranges Instead of Apples. In other words, if our tree is supposed to be growing apples and there are things in there that shouldn't be, this tells us how to clean it up. And at this point, I'll turn it over again to Sister Knapp.
Thank you so much, Elder Glenn. Appreciate you going through all of this. And do we just go to the, well, first of all, if we, okay, so we just wanted to point this out that if you would like some extra one-on-one help and you don't know where to get it, right now the Family History Center is still closed. but we have family history consultants all around. And so you're welcome to either message us on our Facebook page or leave it here in the chat, your name and number, email address. If you give us your physical address, that helps us to find a family history consultant in your actual area that can help you. So we would love to help direct you in that way. Do we have any questions? Well, I'm going to give you a minute to think, and I'm going to, if it's okay with Elder Glenn, he reminded me of a story. So I thought I'd share that really quick. Talking about meeting cousins through family history work, I have had that opportunity. And I've actually become very close with some extended cousins that I never knew before. And it has been such a rewarding process. But a few months back, there was someone that we kept crossing paths on FamilySearch. And so anyway, I was just kind of curious how we related because we kept working on the same family. And so I just sent him a message one day on just through FamilySearch. And I just said, hi, you know, I've been working on this line. I see your name and these are who my grandparents were. And I said, I was just wondering how we are related. And so he sent back just like a one line response and told me like who his family were. It was much further back actually than I thought we might be related. But anyway, and then he said, love you. So I just thought that was so cute and so funny. So I responded and I was like, oh, okay, it looks like maybe we're not as close as I was thinking we might be, but that's so fun to like that we keep crossing paths. And he responded again and said, thanks for reaching out. Love you. So anyway, anyway, there's just some really, really good cousins out there that it's fun to get to know, get acquainted with. Okay, so after that, does anybody else have any questions? Anybody come up with anything?
You probably hadn't shared your screens.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's just on us right now here. So, well, I appreciate everyone being patient with us tonight as we work through some of our technical difficulties.
Tell them how to access the recording.
Yes. So if you would like to watch this recording again, when will the Family History Center be open again? That is a great question that I don't have an answer to. I've asked our High Councilman and he is, he'll get direction from the state when we can open it. So we are anxious for it to open again though. And we will definitely be making an announcement as soon as we hear that we can open again. Thanks for that question. And if you can follow the Facebook page, we'll announce those things as well. Salem, Utah Family History Center, also on Instagram. And yeah, and feel free to go on there and post questions or even research questions or anything anytime. So in the meantime, until we are open, that's a way that we can keep in touch and try to help you. So don't hesitate to reach out in that way. In fact, if you want to watch this recording again, or if you would like to share it with someone, I will work on getting that put up tomorrow on the Facebook page, the link. So check in on that. And I appreciate Elder Glenn going through all this and preparing. And also I want to say a big thank you to Paula Jewett. She was the one that originally made all of these lessons. And I appreciate all of her hard work and her expertise. And Elder Glenn was able to go in and update things and edit some things. So I appreciate his preparation as well. But yeah, so we've got some more great things in store. We hope that you'll come back again, and we appreciate how many of you tuned in tonight. This is great to see so many people here. Yes, please send us messages on any class requests that you have. And we'll definitely keep all of those in mind as we plan our schedule. And maybe eventually we'll get to have some of these in person too. But it's great to be able to see all of you come here on Zoom as well. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Good night.
Good night.